Are you ready to push your limits, to shatter expectations and redefine what is possible? Welcome to the Victory Multisport Podcast, the show that fuels your passion and ignites your drive. Whether you're a seasoned triathlete, a weekend warrior, or a beginner dreaming of crossing that finish line, we're here to equip you with the knowledge, inspiration, and community that you need to achieve your endurance goals. We'll celebrate individual wins and great accomplishments, no matter the size, speed, or publicity. Get ready to be inspired by stories of incredible athletes, learn from expert coaches, and discover the mindset that transforms ordinary individuals into being uncommon. This isn't just a podcast. It's your training partner, your cheerleader, and your coach to ultimate victory. So lace up, clip in, and dive right in. It's time to unleash your potential. It's time for the Victory Multisport Podcast.
Yeah, so welcome to the podcast, and today I am back with the whole crew. We've got Coach Scott.
Hey there.
Hey, Coach, how you doing? And Coach Kenny.
What's up?
All right, and if you don't know, I'm Coach Sarge, and we have a very special guest, but because this is a Thanksgiving week podcast, we wanted to make sure that we put a shout out to all of our friends, all of our athletes, all of our followers on how much we really appreciate and are thankful for all of them, and for, really everybody that's come through Victory over the past 5 years. It allows us to do what we love, allows us to contribute to the sport, contribute to individuals' goals, and for everybody out there, regardless of pace, regardless of distance, whatever it is that you're doing and you're trying to go after, we're here for you. And those of you that have passed through Victory and are moved on to other things, if it's ever on your heart to come back, we're always going to be here for you. So we're very thankful and grateful for that. So happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Have a safe time with your families and enjoy it. But in the podcast today, a very special guest, Caroline Beard.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, Caroline, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here.
That's great. That's great. So, Caroline, we're going to unpack a lot of different things. We're going to talk a little bit about how you actually found triathlon as a collegiate runner back in the day and growing up, but ultimately getting to, probably in part two, for those of you that are listening already, might be a second part where we actually unpack both of her World Championship races this year. Went to Kona in October and raced at the 140.6 Ironman World Championships, and then turned right around, quick turn, back to Spain and did the 70.3 World Championships as well.
Yep, it was an amazing month, probably like one of my favorite months of my life.
Yeah, so you had pack the bike, fly the bike, put the bike together, a whole bunch of prep, definitely a lot of training over the summer, and again, we're gonna ultimately get to that. But I think the big thing on our minds right now that we wanted to start with, and I think our listeners are, probably pretty interested in, is, how did you even come to this, right? How did this even happen? Collegiate runner, fit person, just graduated from college, just got a new job, and then all of a sudden now you dove head first right into triathlon.
Yeah, I mean, getting started in the sport was something I just never thought I would be where I am today when I first started, but it's been an amazing journey. Wouldn't trade it for the world, but really, yeah, just getting started in the sport. I'll go back to, honestly, my childhood. I was always very active. I loved sports. I was very competitive. I loved challenging myself and setting goals. I played a lot of team sports growing up, so mainly soccer and basketball. Played travel soccer and thought I wanted to do soccer in college, but kind of started to get burnt out when I was in high school and decided to try running, cross country and track. All of my friends did it. My sister did it. So I started running and I just fell in love with the sport. I fell in love with the challenge of it. Just pushing yourself to your absolute limit in a race was something I hadn't experienced before in soccer and basketball. And so I just really fell in love with the challenge and the journey and the process. So I started running, but that competitive nature that I grew up with kind of started to become a negative thing when I got into high school. I wanted to be the best runner possible. I wanted to run in college at a big D1 school. And so I thought that in order to do so, I had to be super thin. I had to look like a runner. So I kind of it started innocently. Like I just wanted to be faster. I wanted to be a better runner. I thought it was going to make me healthier, but that really turned into just something very, very negative. Was very focused on my weight and what I was eating, to the point that it started to negatively impact my health. But I thought this is what I have to do to be a good runner, and was just so focused on my sport that I kind of just lost focus of what was actually important in life, which is my long-term health. So ended up in high school committing to run at Pitt. Was super excited, thought like, I'm going to run in the ACC. It's one of the best conferences in the country. Like my, college experience is going to be all running, and, was so excited to see what I could do. But freshman year of college, 3 months into my college running career, I got a really bad stress fracture in my sacrum, which is in your hip, and had a lot of other stress reactions too at that same time. So it was a pretty major injury. I was on crutches for 3 months. Took me 10 months to get back to running. And I think that was like a big turning point in my life, because I realized like, wow, the way that I'm training, the way that I'm eating, it's not working. Like I'm not eating enough. My body is broken. And so really just had to take a second and look at myself and look at the way that I was doing things and realized I needed to change. So ultimately was hoping to get back to Division I running, but just things didn't turn out as planned. After it was still my freshman year, as I'm recovering from this injury, my coach at Pitt ultimately said, hey, we don't have a spot for you on the team anymore. We don't know if you can come back from this injury. Mm-hmm. It's a very major injury, and we just don't have the time to see if you can come back from this. Mm-hmm. And so that was really surprising. I was kind of blindsided by that and really, really upset. But then I realized like, hey, I have the power to turn something positive, like make something positive from this situation. So I did a lot of swimming, a lot of biking, recovering from my injury. And I kind of started thinking like, hey, what if I tried triathlon? Like my college running career is over. What if I try this new sport? I learned about Ironmans when I was a kid, saw Kona on TV and thought it was like the most superhuman, amazing thing ever. So it was kind of in the back of my brain of like, maybe I can do this someday. And so, kind of just continued through my college journey of just swimming and biking and running while I was also in nursing school. And then as soon as I graduated from college, I signed up for my first 70.3 and initially met Coach Sarge to get my bike fitted. And he started telling me about Victory. And I told him, well, I don't know if I want to join a team, because I think this is just going to be a bucket list item for me, like a one and done, do an Ironman and then, get back to my life. But obviously, as we're sitting here today, it's been so much more than a bucket list item for me now. I've caught the bug and here I am today in the sport of triathlon. So that's kind of my journey of getting started here.
Well, Caroline, can I ask you something?
Yeah.
So what was the difference between team sport and individual sport? Like, cause you went from basketball and soccer all of a sudden to, I'm going to try running, to turn into a University of Pitt runner. So you had talent, but what did you feel the difference? Did you like it better being on a team, or did you like it being that one-man wolf pack going out to hunt?
Yeah, so I just really fell in love with endurance sports. As a kid, I never liked individual sports. Like I swam a little bit, but I didn't like it because I was just putting so much pressure on myself. Like it's all on me to do this race. And like in a soccer game, it's not just me, it's the whole team working together. But I think as I got older, I just really enjoyed the fact that like with running, it's just you. What used to make me nervous as a kid now was something that I really loved the challenge of like, I get out of the sport what I put in. Like my efforts is going to equal my results. And on a team sport, it's not always that case because you're just one person. And especially in sports like soccer and basketball, sometimes there's kind of politics of who gets the most playing time is not necessarily the strongest athlete. And it's very subjective because it's not just your fitness. They're looking at your ball handling skills and, how good are you at passing and how good are you at shooting and how good are you at defending? And there's so many different components versus running and endurance sports. It's you're faster or you're not. And that's it. And the fastest people are the ones that get to do the big races. And I think I loved the simplicity of it. And I think I loved the challenge of doing something that is so incredibly hard and pushing my body to its limits.
And when you had your injury, and it feels like, I think knowing you now is when you push all in and you're going. So like if you're going to go, you're going for it all. So when you,
I'll second that.
Yeah.
I'll definitely
Yes.
second that.
so
Sure.
when you have that injury and now you can't do what you wanted to do, what did that do to your psyche? What did that do in your mind? Like, how did you handle that? Because I've had the blood clot where all of a sudden I can't do anything. I'm not sure what's going to happen here. And I'm like pacing around trying to fix things. I'm just trying to be active and I can't do it. And it's debilitating. How did you handle that as a young collegiate athlete that had a world in front of them ready to take on?
Yeah, it was really hard. It was really painful for a while to, see my teammates succeeding and see people getting to live this NCAA experience that I thought I was going to get to live. So it I definitely mourned the loss of that kind of Division I athletic career. But I think very quickly I realized like, I don't want to just dwell in the negativity. Like I have a choice. I can choose to focus on what didn't happen, or I can choose to see this as an opportunity. My faith has been a huge part of my life. And that was a huge part of this season of life too, of, okay, God, instead of asking, why is this happening to me? I'm going to ask, what are you trying to teach me? How can I learn from this? How can I get stronger? And I just kind of accepted that, you know what, God has a different plan for my life than what I thought I wanted. Like I thought I wanted this Division I athletic career, but God had different plans. And I just trusted that it was going to be better than what I could have ever imagined. And now sitting here today, having just raced in Kona and in Marbella, I can confidently say this was way better than anything I could have planned for myself. And I think it's cool that like that injury, swimming and biking, that's what led to me doing Ironmans. I don't think I'd be doing Ironmans if it weren't for that injury. And I've gotten to help a lot of other people along the way that have struggled with fueling properly and have struggled with body image in sports. Like I've gotten to encourage a lot of my friends and teammates because of what I've experienced. And so I think it's really cool that like God used my most painful moments for some of the greatest moments of my life. And so I think really just getting back to just faith and trust. Like it was really hard, those, you know, months of just sitting on the couch and not being able to run and just being like so restless of just feeling like I'm just sitting around. But I think I just focused on like, okay, this is a season of my life. It's temporary. And like, how can I learn from this? How can I turn this into something positive? And I knew like it was going to make me so much stronger and so much more grateful for health.
And I think we're still dealing with that today, right?
Yeah.
And there's things that you had on a bucket list for even 2025 that aren't coming to be. And we had a discussion even about like, probably wasn't meant to be, probably wasn't necessary to do one more race, right?
Yep.
Add one more race in 25 when you've got more things coming. You've got graduate school coming. You've got Boston coming with Coach Scott's help, right? Getting into Boston and running that classic race. So there's still a lot to do, but having the understanding that it's just not in the cards right now. So I think we're still learning that, or still having to experience that. And we all do that. I mean, I do that at work sometimes. You want something so bad, but you don't really get it. And then later you realize, oh, I'm glad that didn't happen, right? That would have been harder or tougher, or it would have been not good. So sometimes it's just not meant to be. So I think that's really, really, really important.
Trusting the plan, trusting the process. Like I always say to myself, God doesn't always give you what you want, but he always gives you what you need. Yeah. And
Rolling Stones
what you were talking about, how I was going to sign up for 70.3 Florida and do one last race this year, and it sold out before I could sign up. And initially I was frustrated, but I was like, you know what? Like it's okay. I think in endurance sports, we want to control the outcomes. We want to control everything because, you know, most people that do endurance sports are incredibly hardworking, incredibly disciplined. And I think you have to balance that with also just trust and faith and like, okay, it's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be like a beautiful journey. And you just got to, you know, enjoy every moment, enjoy every step. And even if it's not your perfect plan, it's going to be like such a fun journey.
Yeah. Was there an opportunity that injury could have sidelined you forever? Because you with an ankle injury, you know, okay, 2 to 4 weeks. If it's a like high ankle sprain, maybe 6, you know, but there's a timetable of, hey, do the right things. You'll be out on the field in 4 weeks or 2 weeks. With you, did you have an opportunity to think, oh, this is just a short season, or could this be finality? Like I might not be able to do this again.
Yeah. So I was told that there was a chance like I wasn't ever going to really return to full capacity if I didn't change my eating habits. So like my nutrition was in such a bad place at that moment of injury that had I not made changes, I don't think I ever would have been able to run again. And I don't even know if I'd be alive right now, to be honest. I was just so undernourished. And so I just made that decision in that moment. Like I need to change something. I need to, you know, I've been given such I just feel so blessed to have a loving family and the opportunities to go to school and to pursue a career I love and to live in a free country. And I was like, man, like God has given me this amazing life. And right now I'm wasting it because I'm too focused on, you know, what I'm eating or what I look like. And so I'd made that decision in that moment. Like, I'm not going to let this be a permanent injury. I'm going to make a comeback. But there was still some doubt. Like, is my body ever going to heal again? Definitely, like, it took me a while to be able to handle this full, you know, Ironman training. And so there was definitely some moments of doubt of, can I ever race the way I want to ever again? Like, is my body ever going to heal? But I just kept working hard and just had faith that if I, you know, eat enough food and I take care of myself, like, I think it's amazing. It shows you how resilient the human body is. And like,
Or the spirit of a human.
Well,
Yes.
I also think, Caroline, for you and for others, and I was going to bring Coach Scott into this because he deals with a lot of youth at the track team, right? At the track level and track and field. So, and I'm sure this same condition or this same mental thought process exists in some of the population out there. So, being able to identify that, yes, it was an injury that was the wake-up call, but being, mature enough even in your youth and college to be able to say, look, I got to make changes and I have to do something different. And I can't hold on to this picture in my mind of what I think I should look like or what I think the size I should be. Right. So, you said earlier in the cast here that you helped other people already, right?
Yeah.
Since that experience, because you've been able to identify it in them or they've asked you questions or whatever.
Yeah.
So could you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah.
And bring Coach Scott in on this.
Yeah, I've had some friends that have struggled with similar things. And so I've gotten to share my journey and to show that like, hey, if I can make changes and recover, like you can too. And it's cool to see that I thought that like being the smallest version of myself was going to make me the best athlete. But now that I'm actually eating enough and I'm strong, like I'm actually a way better athlete than I was before. And I'm sure you've probably seen this too, Coach Scott, that like in your athletes, when you eat enough, like that's actually when you're going to perform your best.
Yeah, I would say that based on my observations with your training, and I know we trained together and spoke often and really made sure we were customizing a lot of your training to make sure that you were in the best possible place for success. I think people should appreciate you were extremely mature and very open-minded. And I think both of those elements factor into an athlete's success. Anytime that we were out training and I said, okay, let's try this or let's try that, I never heard the word no, right?
Yeah.
I would get a lot of questions. Okay, what do you mean by this? How do we do this? But you were always willing to try stuff. And then the other piece of that is that it's the communication, right? Like your desire was always there. You were always willing to lean in and you wanted it, right? And you did so it is difficult because I was in a similar spot where started as a collegiate runner, didn't end as a collegiate runner, right? And that path can get a little bit bumpy, but you're right. It's about finding your identity, right? Being willing to be open to other experiences and being mature enough to handle those challenges. I hope that when you're speaking to others, like those are points that, you're really able to emphasize and let people know, because those are common themes that people are dealing with, whether it's, athletics or just life.
Yeah.
I think the body image, body positivity, on two different sides of the spectrum, right? The negative images of I have to be thinner or I have to look like the TV models or whatever that might be is one thing. Or athletes, right? Because you do see professional athletes that are carved out of wood and like really trim and thin, but they've worked on that their whole life and they've had to probably go through a lot of different iterations to get to that spot. So I think it's definitely something that can be out there and is probably out there more than we even know. And we all have to be sensitive to it and know how to like talk somebody off of it or help them through it. Like they have to figure it out on their own. They're going to be the ones that have to solve it, but having the support of their coaches, having the support of their fellow athletes, having the support of those that are around them is what really is going to help people grow out of it or move on to something else that's much more healthy.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's like you have to make that choice for yourself that you're going to change what you're doing. And then having the support of people around you is like that second component that helps it all come together. And something I always tell myself too is like, I'd much rather be performing well than just looking like I'm fast. Like I don't want to just look like I'm fast and then not really perform well or be injured and not even be able to make it to the starting line. Like I don't really care what I look like as long as I'm performing at my best and I'm able to train at a high level and not constantly worry about, okay, when am I going to get my next stress fracture? And so I think just taking the focus off of what I look like and focusing on like, okay, these are some crazy, I want to smash some crazy goals. Like I want to go to Kona. I want to do this and that. And like focusing on just achieving your goals. And taking the focus off what you look like. Cause at the end of the day, you're not going to care how much you weighed on race day. You're going to care like, I got that Kona qualifier. I got that Boston qualifier. I ran that PR. Like those are the memories you're going to remember, not what you looked like. And so it's just focusing on like what truly matters in life at the end of the day. Cause I knew I was like, I don't want to be on my deathbed realizing feeling like I missed out on my potential in life because I was too focused on what I looked like.
Yeah.
Like I want to live my life. I want to make an impact. Like that's what's important.
You said trust the plan and the program and all of that, and I think that's truly important, because if you focus on the performance aspects, then you focus on the recovery aspects, and you focus on the strength and conditioning aspects, and then you focus on the speed, and you focus on the zone 2 training, and you focus on all those elements of a well balanced, well put together plan. None of that said anything about what you look like, other than you got, wear the victory kit, please. Right?
Yes.
That looked real good.
Right?
Yeah.
I love, the American flag tri-suits that we have. I've gotten so many compliments on them. I can't even tell you. Like, people love them. At
They
races.
only like them with that headband you wear now, the digital.
Yeah, the cooling headband.
That thing's unbelievable.
Yeah, but those other aspects of the actual written down in your program plan are the things that will get you to the goal that you're looking for. Whether it's your first 5K, your first half marathon, your fastest marathon, getting to a championship race of some sort where you have to qualify for it. That's how you're going to get there.
Yeah.
See, it's real interesting to me because at her level that she's racing and some of the speeds that she's putting down, sometimes that will intimidate somebody. Oh, like she's got it all. She doesn't really have to work hard. It's just she shows up and does that. But the thing that I always said is, you don't know Caroline's story. Wait till you hear her story. There was an injury. Did you know there was a big injury? Mm-hmm. I didn't know about the eating or the body image struggles. And that's massive in everything we do. So, I mean, understanding that this kid works her tail off and has worked her tail off to be in the moment, to be at mile 25 in a race, to say, kick it in, like, go run this down. Like, and she put herself there, but it just didn't happen one day. She had to overcome massive hurdles that might have stopped somebody from even entering this sport.
Yeah.
People
should appreciate too, through the course, and I know we'll eventually here get into talking about the races and all of that. There were a number of conversations that were oriented around, like, just specifically, like, how are we going to get these workouts done, right? And so there was a lot of dialogue, a lot of communication where Caroline would say, well, this hurts, or I'm starting to feel a pain here. How do we, how do we pivot or adjust so that I can still hit this goal, right? It was never, I'm going to stop, or this is over, or anything like that. But I will say, like, and again, this is so important between an athlete and a coach. Well, I would say, well, we still have to achieve, like, some element of speed or some element of distance. And so then I would just go through a series of questions. Well, how does this feel? And then she would say, well, I think this. And then through that process, we came up with a plan that did enable her to achieve, like, the qualifying for Boston was the very first one. And that, we weren't even sure we were going to take a shot at it.
Yeah, I think I decided like 2 weeks before the marathon that I was actually going to run it, because my shins were iffy, and I missed like 3 weeks of long runs because of my shins, and then we ended up going for it, and it all worked out.
Accidentally qualified? Is that what you said?
No. I knew I was going to qualify for Boston, but I wasn't sure if I was going to do a marathon.
I'm just kidding. Right?
She accidentally lifted before class.
She did. She got a pump on right before that race.
My God.
That's a shout out to Dylan. Dylan will love that.
Yeah, inside joke for Dylan out there.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of that information that was traded back and forth that really did allow us to put together, like, different blocks and different segments to hit those goals. Like, I want to stress that because of other athletes that are listening to this, right? There is a plan and a process that you can put into place. However, there needs to be feedback in there and flexibility and fundamentals that still enable you to get there.
Mike Tyson, right? In the military, right? No plan survives first contact. So the plan that you start with is not ever the plan you end with.
Yeah, everyone has a plan until they get hit in the mouth. So then what do you do when you get hit in the mouth?
How do you?
Stevie's like busting.
That's one of my favorite quotes.
So I think that if you follow any of the really famous, or any true even fitness experts out there, and I think of Tony Horton, who invented P90X with Beachbody, and his message was always, just modify the movement. If you have a shoulder injury, Dave Kapp's a perfect example. He could easily say, I can't swim because of my shoulder. Right? Yeah. But he works at how he can swim and how he can become a 2-time Ironman for that, by the way he does his workouts and the way he notices how he's going, when it's too much for his shoulder, and he just pulls it back a little bit. But so to your point, Coach, you have to have those conversations. You have to be able to modify the workout schedule to fit life, and you have to modify the intensities sometimes to fit the current situation, whether that's a slight injury or just an overuse thing that's happening or a soreness that's not going away. You can still get through it, but you can't not do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of it too, I will say, as we were leading into discussions with different races, I wanted to make a point to pull pressure off of Caroline. Like I can remember when we were going into Glass City and I was like, look, don't worry about Placid. Don't worry about anything else on the horizon. Let's just go into this race and let's enjoy it and just take the experience for what it is. And let's see if we can go get Boston. And that will be a great accomplishment. That's a notch. And then we'll see how you feel. And then we'll go after the next one.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't want at any point her to be overwhelmed with her ambitions because they are great, which is fantastic as a coach, right?
You just heard it. Didn't she just say, no, I was going to qualify for Boston?
I got some big goals. I like to set big goals.
For the listeners,
That's right.
I was going to eat Fruity Pebbles this morning.
Before the podcast, Caroline was informing us of her plan from 2025 to 2029.
Yeah, I've got the 5-year plan
she's got a 5-year
sketched
plan
out, but obviously in pencil so we can modify things.
Four bike fits are already set in 2027,
I think that's the
28.
cool thing though about the sport is, and something I think I appreciate of the Victory coaches so much, and working closely with Coach Scott through my marathon and my Ironman builds, is like the creativity, the flexibility you guys have. And because I think that's so important, is to be disciplined, but also to be flexible. And like I give so much credit to Coach Scott to helping me get to where I am today, because, you know, I broke my arm 8 weeks before my first 70.3. And so we figured out, okay, how can we still do this race? And then, you know, ended up having some shin pain leading up to my marathon. And we figured out, okay, how can we modify this and still get to the starting line? And so I think that creativity throughout all these obstacles, like you have to figure out, okay, here's this obstacle in front of me. What am I going to do to work around this? You know, it's never over. You know, you see an obstacle in the road, you don't quit. You just figure out what's a different way I can get around this. And I think that's what's so cool about the Ironman is like Coach Sarge, one of my favorite quotes, he always says, the race always pushes back. And there's been so many times I've thought that to myself of like, okay, the race always pushes back. Your build's not going to be perfect. Your race probably isn't going to be perfect. And it's all about finding ways through. And I see, you know, so many other Victory athletes that have families and careers, and they're still finding a way to get it done and to achieve their goals. And it's so inspiring. You know, everyone has a story of how they got into the sport or their journey. You know, no one's journey is perfect, but, you know, at the end of the day, everyone has a different path, but we all get to cross that same finish line and be an Ironman. And it's such a special thing.
You know, you touched on it again right there. And I not to belabor, but I do want to emphasize the maturity as an athlete. Like that is, as a coach, it's so much appreciated. And I know I appreciated it greatly. And it was evident in that very first race, right?
Yeah.
In Florida with your arm that was broken. Like we had a lot of conversations going into that, knowing that, look, your swim is not going to be great. And that's okay. Right? There's still 2 other disciplines. You're a fantastic runner. Go, right? Just take what you can and you go after it. But don't get bent out of shape just because one piece of this is not going to go exactly as you want it to go.
Yeah.
We know it's a challenge that's out there. We had the conversations, very level-headed, very mature, approached it in the right mindset and crushed it, right? And that's something, again, like as a coach, man, oh my gosh, I appreciated that so much. That is truly when I knew like you were a special athlete. Like I knew it at that point. I was like, oh my gosh, you have the physical tools to go out there and just dominate. And you have the mental makeup as well, right? You have the balance of, you understand the dedication that's required to train for this. You understand the concept of the delayed gratification, right? You've got to put the work in before you get the reward. You also have the maturity to deal with all of those obstacles, work through them, right? Not just throw your hands up and walk away. And then also, and I know we'll probably talk about this more, but there was a lot of times where we just talked about enjoying stuff, right? Like when you go to Kona, just look around and soak it in and really enjoy it, right?
Yeah.
All of those elements really, really did make your season incredibly special. But I'm not surprised given the person that you are.
Oh, thanks.
Well, that's when I cued in or got cued into her was with the swim, like right after Haines City. I reached out after you had qualified and I said, Scott, her swim was a little bit slower. And like, I didn't even know she had a broken arm. You know, like she didn't make a big deal about it. It was part of the journey, part of what was about to happen. And when I got in the water with her, I'm like, something isn't, 2 and 2 is not equaling 4. She's already like, she jumps in, she's looking at her watch, she's got her foot on the wall, and she doesn't even have her goggles on. I'm like, you might need your swim goggles. And she's like, I'm so locked in. Puts her goggles on, she's flip turning, but like, she was ready to go. There was no like, man, I got a broken arm, I'm pulling out of that, or it is going to be what it is, I'll make that excuse. She went and just ran down that goal again. Like, it wasn't like she wasn't going to qualify. What was it? I was going to qualify.
Yeah. And we even talked about this even before Placid. We were like, let's try and go for Kona, just setting these big goals and recognizing it's not going to be perfect, building up to that. And you might not even achieve your goal, but like the person you become in the process is just, it's amazing. Like, from Ironmans, I've learned so much. From my past mistakes, I've learned so much. Like Coach Scott, you're talking about, the maturity and the patience that you've seen in me as an athlete. And I truly credit those past, that injury and those past mistakes I made that has really shaped me into the athlete I am today. And I just love the Ironman because you're learning about overcoming obstacles, staying consistent no matter what gets thrown your way. Like, how can I give 100% of what I have today, even if it's not going to be perfect? Like, just give 100% of what you have on that day. Find a way through. It really shapes you into the person you are, and then it bleeds into every other aspect of your life, family and career. And because you've done these hard things in Ironman, you feel like you can tackle other parts of your life too.
Yeah, I was just going to say that people that are listening should appreciate the fact that you're going to graduate school.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. Like,
Yeah.
your job is not an easy job because you're not 9 to 5 Monday through Friday to do the training,
Yeah.
right? The Ironman training blocks. You're an ICU nurse with variable schedules, working 12-hour days on some days.
Sometimes 13, sometimes 14.
Sometimes doubles. Like, I don't know what it is. I'm sure there's a lot going on at the
Yeah.
hospital. There's a lot of pressure because you're taking care of humans, right? And
Yeah.
they're that are struggling with their own situations in that ICU. So the ability to be flexible, the ability to pivot, the ability to work with the coach to move things around so that they can be done. And I'm sure you were on the bike trainer late or early
Yes.
or both on certain days just to get it in, or the treadmill or whatever you needed to do. So I just wanted to make sure that people understood that this is the Caroline, right? This is, Caroline's not just the athlete. This is Caroline,
Yeah.
the professional. This is Caroline, the recent graduate doing her first, adult job really in the hospital,
Yeah.
and now moving on and saying, I'm still going for more. I'm going to go back to grad school and become a anesthetist. I'm trouble with that word.
Yeah, it's hard to pronounce. Yeah, but it's been such a cool journey, and Coach Scott was so helpful in like adjusting my schedule because my work schedule is very different than most people's, being an ICU nurse and working day shift and night shift and rotating back and forth and 12, 13, 14-hour days, and we just like found a way to make it happen. And I think it was such a fun journey. There were so many like 3:30 a.m. wake ups that I was like, oh my gosh, this sucks. Like, I just want to go to bed. But it was all worth it. It was all part of the journey, and like doing hard things sometimes it sucks in the moment, but like it's so worth it to just challenge yourself. And I think I realized like I'm capable of so much more than I thought, doing Ironmans with my schedule. And I remember I talked to Coach Scott. There were some days I was like, can I even do this? Like, is this possible? And he was like, of course it's possible. And he's like, you might be having 3 12-hour shifts a week, but like you've got days off where you can do, really big workouts. And so like use that to your advantage. And, it was just really cool to kind of have an unconventional journey and get to figure out how to make it happen. And it's like, not everybody's a nurse, but like everybody's got something that,
Right.
they have to work around and still become an Ironman. And it was so much fun. It was really hard, but it was so much fun. And yeah, next 3 years I'll be in grad school to be a nurse anesthetist. And that's going to be another interesting schedule, but I'm excited to see kind of what I can do during that time and figure out a way to still get a few races in and have some fun.
We already have your training plan blocked out. It's all figured out. But the one last thing, and then we could jump into Placid maybe, would be the thing I think is so endearing with you, though, is every one of your Instagram posts, it's always deflect the glory.
Yeah.
It's always God allowed this, or I'm glorifying him. I'm doing this to glorify him. You always put everybody else first. Like, I think your nickname should be Mama Beard, like the Mama Bear. Like, you take
I am
care
kind of the mom of my friend group, I will say.
you take care of everybody else around you, and you worry about yourself last. And that is just so endearing, because in the world we live in, it's so gratifying of, I did this, this is me, I did this, I'm the man. And at the end of the day, you got all these talents, and you're glorifying God with it. And along the way, you're in Marabella. and you're going, because he's honoring everything you're doing. I mean, that piece of pottery you're molding, like he's already knows what you're doing, and it's a beautiful thing he's building with you, and it's incredible watching that.
Yeah,
well, and showing that leadership to bring others along the same journey, in their own way. They may not be following you to Marabella this year, but guaranteed you've inspired people to come down this similar path that you're going on now. And you're helping people along the way with your advice, with your attitude, with your uplifting spirit with them, whether you're at one of their races or you've already finished and you're now on the cheering section for the next athlete, known or unknown.
Yeah.
Number 246, keep going. You got this, right? So you're there and your family's there, and I've cheered with them, and they're awesome in their own right. As a group, they're like a force to be reckoned with, for sure. Your aunts, your dad.
Oh, they're like a volcano.
Yeah, they are. I mean,
it's the swim coach.
We not only saw the real volcano in Hawaii, we saw the Beard family volcano.
Wait a minute. I think my favorite thing, and I wish we could pipe it into this podcast, is your ISO of your mom screaming, Caroline!
Yeah, if you watch any of the videos of me racing, you can hear my family screaming in the background, which honestly I'm just so grateful, and that's such kind words you guys said. And it really just comes back to gratitude. I think in high school, and I was so focused on my own self and my own success and just chasing that external validation, and it just always left me empty. And what really fills my cup now, why I enjoy this sport so much, is not because of my own success, but like the people I'm bringing along the way, like getting to spend time with my family, getting to be a part of this victory family, and getting to know the coaches and the athletes, and just trying to encourage everybody around me to like find their potential in life and to work hard through their obstacles and achieve something amazing and overcome those challenges in life. Like that's what makes it so fulfilling, is not necessarily like, oh, you got, 19th in your age group at Kona. Like, while that's something I'm so proud of, it's like, well, what really brings me joy is not that stat, that number, but like the people I've gotten to impact. And I'm just so grateful, and I like to bring my faith into this, because I just feel like, man, I've been blessed with breath in my lungs from God. Like every day I wake up, it's not my own breath in my lungs. Like, I woke up because God decided he was going to give me another day of life. And I'm so grateful for that. And, I think because of what I went through, not knowing if I'd ever be able to race again, let alone do an Ironman, I'm just so grateful, because I know what it's like to be at rock bottom and to not have this. And so it's made me so grateful for life, so grateful for health. Like every day I just thank God for the opportunities I have, and, just everything, all of the races, all of the moments, just Coach Scott always says to look up and enjoy the journey. And that's what I try to do, is like, be so thankful for the people around me and just the journey, the family that is victory, the family that is, Ironman racing. Like it's just a special community to be a part of. And I'm just so thankful for the journey.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, your journey took you to Ironman Lake Placid this summer, right?
Yes.
And all of us here at the table have been there. We've raced it. We've spectated it. We've coached it. We've done everything up there.
I know every inch of that course.
Yeah, we love it up there. It's our home away from home, really, from the perspective of the sport and our friendships and our collective experiences. Like so many people that are in our lives in victory, out of victory, have come through that place as well. So love to talk more about that race right now, and because that was where you qualified for Kona, for sure, right? It's 140.6. It's your first Ironman. You became an Ironman there. So you're stacking all these, things, all these accomplishments in one race, right?
Yeah.
And it's raining. It's not an easy day. The race is pushing back. In this case,
I dropped two bottles.
In this case, it's weather. It's lost bottles. It's some uncertainty here and there of different things that are going on in the race. So, talk us through like the morning of when you first get up, and like how we're getting going down to that water and starting to go into Mirror Lake.
Yeah. So I feel like I lived 5 lifetimes in Ironman Lake Placid. Really, so many things happened, and it was definitely not the perfect day, but like just such an amazing day. I think because of those imperfections, like you're so much prouder of that finish line when you know like everything you went through to get to that moment. And so I think of like even just going back to like a few weeks before the race, I'm riding with Coach Scott at North Park. This car like cuts out, and somebody, these people were crossing the crosswalk. They cut out in front of us. There's cars. And so, the guy biking in front of us slams on the brakes going down the hill. So we all have to slam on our brakes. So I start swerving. I go into the death wobble. Thankfully, I slowed down almost to a stop before I finally crashed. And so I was unharmed. I wasn't injured, but that really scared me. And so, going into Lake Placid, knowing, okay, this course is super hilly, it's going to be wet roads. I'm terrified of crashing. Like, I'm just listening to worship music, before the race, because I'm scared out of my mind. I'm like, God, please keep me alive going down Keene Descent in the rain. Like, I knew it was going to rain that day. We didn't know if it'd be a wetsuit swim. It was a wetsuit swim, so that was good. But then I'm putting my wetsuit on before the race and I rip it. Thankfully, the rip was pretty small, so I was still able to wear the wetsuit.
Started to push back
and
already.
Race, but it started to push back from the very start. So thankfully, the swim went really well. I get onto the bike. I came out of the water early enough that the first time down Keene Descent, it was dry. So I'm super thankful for that. So bike's going pretty well. And then I end up dropping 2 bottles throughout the race. It starts to rain. Second time down Keene, it's a little bit wet. Thankfully, like there was a break in the rain, which I was so grateful for, because some other people went down in the pouring rain, depending on what time you were riding. But got down Keene the second time. Roads were wet, but made it down in one piece. And then I realized I'd gone out way too fast the first lap of the bike.
And you lost 2 bottles.
So I know I lost some bottles, trying to grab stuff at aid stations to make up for that nutrition, which is also, putting more time on the clock. But I just told myself, okay, the race always pushes back. Just get through this bike ride. Just keep going. Tried not to think about, okay, I'm losing time at these aid stations. I lost these bottles. I went out too fast. I just tried to block all that out and just keep working. So that second lap of Lake Placid was very hard, especially the big climb out of J. That was a low point.
It has some disrespectful manners in that.
Very disrespectful.
Yeah, so that was really, really tough. But again, I just kept pushing. Just told myself, like my cross country coach in high school would always say, live in the mile you're in. Like, don't think about what you have ahead of you. Just be in the mile you're in. Get through that mile, then get through the next. So that's what I did the second lap of the bike. Came off the bike, and I knew I wasn't going to have good run legs based on how I felt on the bike. And so I started the run, and sure enough, I really did not have good run legs. But I just told myself, just keep pushing. Like, just get through this run, focus on, the miles that you're in. Some girls started passing me from my age group, but I just tried not to get discouraged. I just tried to keep, running. And I really focused on the gratitude of my first Ironman. I'm doing Ironman Lake Placid. A quick story I'll share that most people might not know is my mom grew up in the Adirondacks. And so I went there every summer of my life as a kid. And I still go up there every summer to visit family. So I was in Lake Placid. I was 16. Where my mom's from is a few hours away from Lake Placid, but we were visiting there that summer. And it was when they still had the 70.3 there. So it was the weekend of the 70.3. We had no idea. We're in Lake Placid. We see all these tired, weary looking people running along the side of the road. And we were like, what's going on? And then we realized it's an Ironman. And so I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. I didn't know there was an Ironman in Lake Placid. And I was 16 years old at the time. And I told my mom, I am doing Ironman Lake Placid someday. Like, I am doing this race. This is so awesome. And so getting to do that as my first Ironman was so special. And so I kind of just, in that run, I was like, okay, I'm not having the run I want. This run's going to be a lot slower than I thought it would be, but I'm going to focus on how grateful I am to be here, what a blessing it is to race. I'm going to soak it all in. I'm going to just give 100% of what I have right now and see where I end up. And, I'm at mile 25 and, was not feeling good. I had some moments in the race, was feeling dizzy, took in more fuel, started feeling better. And then at mile 25, I see Coach Kenny, and he points out this girl in front of me, and he goes, this girl right there, she's in your age group. You got to pass her. Like, this could matter.
Wait, you blew a bubble first. You blew a bubble.
I was chewing gum. Yeah, I was chewing gum.
She blew a big bubble. She thought about it for a second. And she there's way more to this. Like, I get chills of thinking about her race and Candace's race that day.
Yeah.
Both, but hers, she blew a big bubble and it popped, and she just looked at me and goes, I got her.
Yeah.
And just took off. And it was pretty much right when I saw her, my thought process was, I knew who she was. I'm going to keep walking down to the turnaround until I see her. And then I'm going to start my watch and let Caroline know. And all of a sudden, I turn around as she's passing me, and here comes Caroline, the red, white, and blue flag. And I'm like, all right, you're in like eyesight. I was like, babe, you gave me everything you got today. I need more. And she blew this bubble. I said, that girl right there, she's right there in the gray pants. She's right in front of the brick wall. This matters. And she popped the bubble, looked at me, and just says, I got her.
Yeah. I think that was that moment I think I'm going to remember for the rest of my life. Cause at that point I was in 7th in my age group and I kept thinking, okay, maybe today's not my day. I might not be getting to Kona. I'm giving everything of what I have. I didn't quite pace this race right. You know, it was my first Ironman, went out too hard on the bike as most people do. And I was like, you know, maybe I just got to pace it better next time. Maybe next time I'll get Kona. So at that point in the race, I kind of thought, yeah, I might not get Kona. Like, I don't know if 7th place is going to get a roll down slot. So, you know, I'm running and I'm like, got 2 miles left. I see Coach Kenny. He tells me this girl's in my age group. And for a split second, you know, he says, I took a second, blew a bubble, and then said, okay, I got her. Like in that second, I thought to myself, okay, 7th place versus 6th place. Like, does this really matter? But then, you know, I'm like, heck yeah, it does matter. Like, I'm going to catch this girl. And I just remember he kept telling me, like, I need more from you, Caroline. Like, this could matter. This could matter. So I passed that girl in the last mile of the Ironman, you know, crossed the finish line. Didn't know if I'd made Kona because the award ceremony's the next day. Well, it turns out I get the last slot for Kona in my age group. So, like, that did matter. Like, that decision right there to keep pushing, even though I wasn't having a perfect day. You know, I wanted to run a 3:30 marathon that day. I ran 3:59, you know, so I'm a half hour slower than what I wanted, but I still gave 100% of what I had on that day. And I told myself, okay, this wasn't a perfect day, but like, I'm going to catch this girl. And that ended up being what got me to Kona, which was just the craziest thing ever. And I think I learned from that. It's like, man, never quit, never give up. It's never over. You know,
we talked about that earlier, that for those that wait 1 sec longer can endure, success is just on the other side of that.
Yeah.
And that little enduring of that last mile, you know, there was a couple times during the day when we saw you at mile, I guess, 110 when you were coming up the Bears, maybe 109, and you just looked tired on the bike, and you should have been. It's a hard course. And I said, you're sitting in 3rd, and immediately you shot up like a rocket. Cadence picked up and you were off. Like, it's just those little things. Like, you, to your point, I'm not quitting. I am not quitting. It's hard to put somebody down that won't quit.
That's why this coaching means so much to me, is because, like, the fact that, like, you took time out of your day, out of your weekend to drive up to Lake Placid to support your athletes. You're, you know, looking at the stats, you're running alongside me, giving that, like, without that encouragement, you know, I don't know what the outcome would have been in that race. And so the fact that, like, you know, and Coach Sarge, you know, in Kona, telling me where I was coming off the bike, and like just the dedication, the sacrifice that all of these coaches make for their athletes just honestly blows my mind, how selfless all of you guys are, and taking time to support other athletes, to help them reach their goals, to run alongside them, yelling out their splits, yelling out their stats, giving them that encouragement. Cause like, that makes a huge difference in the middle of an Ironman when you have your village around you cheering you on. And so I just want to also just, you know, as we close this episode, just commend you guys for the hard work, the dedication, the sacrifice you guys make. And you guys aren't competing out there in Lake Placid. You're just there to like help other athletes succeed. And it's like, you guys have had your own accomplishments in your own Ironman races, and then you're still out there like helping other people achieve their success. And it means a lot to me. It means the world to have that support, you know, mid race when you're at a low point and you see your coach running alongside you, telling you have to catch that girl, looking up, she's in your age group, I saw it on the app, she's this many seconds ahead of you, go get her. Like, that's kind of stuff. I was only
faster by 1 second than her that time.
Yeah. Just for like, not even like caveat on that's slightly illegal, but we did it anyhow. So
yeah,
well, like when she
illegal. It's okay, everyone does it.
Illegal.
She had came up at like mile 12, and I'm real dizzy.
Yeah,
and she had a look on her face like, oh, that she's hurting.
Yeah,
immediately, Coach Scott. She's dizzy. What do we do? Get her sugar, get her Coke, get her anything that has sugar in it. Next thing I know, she has it. Boom.
Yeah, I grabbed Coach Kenny's like, get more carbs. I'm like, okay. So next aid station, I grabbed some Coca-Cola, I grabbed some potato chips and the sparkling pickle juice they had at Lake Placid.
They were the Utz kind, you said. The Utz chips.
I was good to go.
Well, Caroline, thank you so much for the compliments. I mean, this is what we love to do. This is why we are together in this, I'll call it a situation, but it's a good situation, right? And we do this on purpose to ourselves. We, you know, get into some dark corners of it sometimes and wonder why the hell we're still doing it, but we love it. And when we get to a race and we see any athlete, we see Candace flying through on a PR marathon at, you know, after doing an Ironman, at the end of an Ironman, it just lights our fuse to, you know, do even more for everybody. And, you know, we're passionate about this. We're passionate about the 5Ks that we're going to be at the Turkey Trot this weekend. We're passionate about the 10 milers that we get involved in. And we're passionate about trying to post as much about our athletes as we possibly can, you know, every week. and we love it to death, right? So thank you for the compliments and thank you for that. I think that the comment I would make about the Lake Placid story is, yes, the pivotal moments are when you got the pieces of data that helped you change your mindset a little bit in that moment. But the decisions you made all along the way to stay in the moment, to stay in the mile, the advice from your high school or college coach from back in the day, all those things came to play, because if you would have not done those things, that last moment wouldn't have mattered. It would have been like 30 minutes and you
all
were
those
not going to
moments
catch
along
up
the
30
way.
minutes.
Hey, you're 84th. Go to 82.
You're 84th.
Yeah.
Like, good job. Right?
Yeah.
Woo, woo. So, which we would have done, and we would have been proud of you.
Oh,
We would have
heck
been happy as hell.
Yeah.
And we, it would have not changed a thing for us as far as, how we celebrated that weekend and how we were together as a team in the house and really living it up. But, that's how these races go. And that's how we'll get into the next two races in the next episode.
I'm excited.
Is when we talk about your Kona experience in that race. It's a completely different race in Lake Placid, even though it's the same distance in a completely different part of the world, of course. And then, of course, going to Spain after that, doing a quick turn and doubling down on a 70.3 Worlds. So,
Sarge, I think too, just getting to spend that Monday with her family, sitting next to Candace, and watching Candace sitting there counting, how many slots, what number am I, and to see her face, to look at both of us, starts crying.
Right.
She goes up and gets her spot.
Yeah.
And then the next age group is Caroline, and we just don't know. We don't know what's going on, who's going to take, who's not going to take. And now all of a sudden it happens again, and the whole Caroline contingent, mom, dad, aunts screaming.
they were flipping the tables over.
Oh yeah,
right. They were like rioting.
It was like the Buffalo Bills Mafia throwing people through tables. No, but just to see the hard work that her journey, is sometimes it's not the destination, it's the journey, and she focused on the journey. Injuries, broken arms, race qualify, show up in Placid, don't know, has a hard course to unfold on, and she had enough in it that day to earn that spot in that moment, and to be there to see that unfold, unbelievable.
Yeah, I would say maybe one final thought.
Yeah.
Nobody should be surprised that Caroline reacted that way, because there were so many mornings where we would meet at North Park to go for rides, and it was like the two of us, and Trevin would be there, Dr. Mark, Alice, some others. And I swear every single weekend the conversation began with, hey, you think I could qualify for Kona? What do you think my chances are? Hey, I was looking at the results from
Every
last
day.
year. I was looking at the results for the last 5 years. Do you think I could go to Kona? And I'd be like, let's just ride.
Yeah.
Let's just
Today's
get through this
activity
ride
is
today,
riding
right?
or running. It's
The cool thing too was that almost every group ride in that build up to Placid was raining, and it ended up raining on race day, so it worked out.
Hills and rain.
Race camp
Hills pay the bills.
Race camp
Yes.
ride was
Oh
in the
my
rain,
gosh,
right?
yeah.
So everything works out for a reason.
My point is, though, I knew how much it mattered to you, and because it mattered to you so much, it matters to us.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So thank you.
Oh, thank you
Yeah,
guys.
we're absolutely 1,000% behind what matters to the athletes, and they show it to us, and they explain it to us, and they state it, and they live it. Then we'll follow them to the end of the earth.
I'm coaching a girl right now, and a lady, and for her, she's going to do a 13-1. She doesn't know it yet. She thinks she's doing the turkey trot next week, and I already ran with her this morning a 5K.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, I said, "I'll see you Thursday." And she goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "I'm running the 5K with you to make sure you experience this." And she goes, "Oh my God, I think I'm going to start to cry because it's changing. I understand what she's going to do."
Yeah.
And I said to her the other day, I go, "Wait, you ran 2 miles at this, and then you did 2 miles the next day at this. You're 2 minutes faster." She goes, "I had pizza waiting in the car. I didn't want to hold but
whatever the
I said, "I'm going to have
motivation is."
pizza in front of you then every race, as long as you get faster." But I think it's really cool because she's defining who she is. She's becoming a different person. She's finding confidence in movement. And that movement, to whatever that pace is, it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. It's go get your goal done. And right now, her Ironman is Thanksgiving morning in Sewickley at 8:30.
Yeah.
And that's her Ironman. And then we're going to do her 13-1. She already knows it's coming. She's like, "You're coaching me for that, aren't you?" I said, "You know it. We're going."
right.
So
Absolutely.
I love
So
it all.
They're all out there. And Caroline, thank you for sharing your story,
Yeah,
ramping
absolutely.
up to your worlds. And everybody listening, please stay tuned for the next episode. We're going to get into Kona. We're going to get into Marbella with Caroline again. So you've been listening to the Victory Multisport podcast. We'll talk to everybody very soon.